A warm welcome to this first webinar of the World Wind Energy Association in the year 2024. This webinar is about the topic of repowering, which means replacing smaller, typically older wind turbines by newer ones, which has many advantages, also some challenges, and we will talk about this today. And I'm very pleased about really a distinguished panel of experts from, I can say, around the world, from various continents. And before we start, allow me some logistical information. So we will follow, of course, the speakers as it is in the program. We will have the opportunity for questions directly after the presentation, brief questions, and then later, if time allows, we will also have some time for discussion. Also, please let me say that this is a public event, so we are at the moment live on Facebook. We will record the webinar and it will also be then uploaded on YouTube. So whenever you show your face, when you say something, please be aware that this is in general public. Yeah, with this, let me also say thank you very much to our supporter, to the supporter of this webinar series. It's the company Prof Ventus, without whose support it would be more difficult to offer those webinars free of charge. Now, I'm pleased we have quite many people already joining, and obviously this topic is of great interest. Let me introduce myself. My name is Stefan Xenger. I'm the Secretary General of the World Wind Energy Association, and kind of came to this topic when I was last year invited by one of our members to write an article about the topic of repowering for the magazine. The magazine, it was of the Indian Wind Power Association. And as I asked our fellow board members, of course, to provide some information, we started to discussing the topic, and it came out that it is an important topic, not only for India, but for many countries in the world. And we decided to take it up and see whether there is some kind of commonalities, what we need to discuss, whether from the perspective of the World Wind Energy Association, we can contribute disseminating best practice information and maybe even develop recommendations for countries that are just starting with repowering. Of course, repowering, that means, again, replacing old wind turbines, typically 10 years and older, starts primarily in those countries which are the early starters, early movers in wind power. So logically, we see it happening already in some of the European markets, like my home country, Germany. It's common practice nowadays. Maybe you've seen the installation numbers in Germany with around 3,000 megawatt of new installations, 2023. That is already including 500 megawatt that were removed, replaced. Now, we can see, of course, that, as I said, repowering has several really big advantages. Usually you replace many small wind turbines by big machines. The number is smaller, but they have a bigger power output. They are nowadays also more efficient. So you gain in several ways. Also that the first wind turbines usually were placed at places with very high wind speeds. So you can make better use of those resources. Before we now start with the more country-specific focus, it's my pleasure now that Dr. Jami Hossain, Jami, you will now be our first speaker, and you will give us kind of the broader overview of what are the challenges, what are the opportunities, and also, of course, what are the benefits at the end of the day from repowering. Jami, you have a lot of experience in wind power technology. You are the technical chair of the World Wind Energy Association, heading that committee. And yeah, I think you started maybe 40 years ago working different sides of wind power. Let me hand over to you.
Thank you, Stephen. and welcome all of you, and a good day to all of you in different parts of the world. And yeah, at WWEA, we started talking about repowering, though we had discussed in earlier times also more recently, after some discussions were held, initiated by Stefan, and we published some articles, and then it appeared that, yeah, worldwide also there is a lot of potential for repowering. Though in India, we have been talking about this for a very long time now, almost for 5, 6 years, and things have started moving a little bit. So, but my presentation is more on a general sort of way, and I will share my screen and we proceed from there. So my screen is visible?
Yes, just if you use
Yes,
the
yes.
presentation mode, it's at the
Yeah.
bottom right.
The bottom, I
Bottom,
think it's on
bottom
the top.
line. Yeah, at the bottom you have this. Yeah, almost
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Okay, good. So this is generally what we look at worldwide in terms of repowering of wind energy. First, we look at what exactly is repowering and what is the potential for repowering, and why it is important to look into this aspect, and then some of the other things. So I would say repowering is about reestablishing a higher capacity wind farm where a previous one existed, or enhancing its generation and capacity capability, or rather, the overall capacity in megawatt or whatever, through refurbishing the old one or by adding new technologies. And this can be, we can scrap the old wind farm completely and set up an entirely new wind farm in that place. Or we can also do intermingling or intercropping of the wind turbines where the old turbines continue to exist and we set up a new one, but that is subject to some technical feasibility and the interference between the wind turbines. And the third is we refurbish the existing wind turbines. There is a limit to what we can do on an existing wind turbine. Perhaps its tower can be increased in height a little bit, its blades can be changed. So those kind of things are possible, but again, they have their own limitations in terms of structural and engineering aspects. So just a minute. Yeah. So modernization of wind farm asset with so the benefits of repowering that we see here is, one is the modernization of the wind farm asset with new technologies. So our wind turbines, which may have been set up several years back, I would not say 20 years, maybe 15 years, maybe 10 years, they were based on a technology which was dated at that time. And over a period of time, there are many new features that come into wind turbine. There is a lot of R&D which happens, and the implications of those are reflected in the wind turbine. And also on aspects related to grid interface, grid interaction, low voltage right through, high voltage right through, those kind of things which may not be there in the earlier wind turbines are available in the new modern wind turbine. So it makes more sense to set up a modern wind farm in place of an old one, in just in terms of the technologies involved. Then when we set up a new wind farm, we will have an enhanced renewable energy generation. Normally, the old wind turbines, they were shorter in hub height, and they were also smaller in ratings. And the current wind turbines are many times higher in rating. For example, we used to have wind farms which were almost 500 kilowatt rating about 20, 25 years back. And now we have almost 4 megawatt, 3.5 megawatt. So many times increase in terms of energy generation that is possible, and power generation that is possible from a single point on the land. then it's a step towards net zero because it enables us to achieve those targets. And then the very good aspect of repowering is that we have a tried and tested site, a site where generation has already happened over the last 20 years. And this helps us to, reduce our risk and uh, implement a new project where we already had a track record of generation. So there are very little risks which are related to the wind aspect. Of course, there are some difficulties which I will come to, but these are the major, benefits that one can see. There may be more, and this is not all necessarily. If we look at the total installed capacity in the world, so we have nearly 1 terawatt of capacity, and over the last 2-3 years, this rate at which we have been setting up wind farms has been growing, and it has been picking up quite fast, and maybe much faster in the coming years, maybe much faster in 2024. Because of various reasons, geopolitical reasons, global warming, climate change, many other things. So this is happening, which means there will also be a more and more interest in repowering as developers and investors. They look for better and better sites and ways of implementing the projects. Here are some of the top 10 countries, and we can see that China is at the top and is likely to have 450 gigawatt of wind power installation by the end of 2023. So those numbers have still to come in, but it already has something like 419 gigawatt at the end of June 23, and in December 22, and they had 395 capacity. So a very large market, very large capacity. Almost more than 1/3 of the worldwide capacity now exists in China. Then we have United States, which has 152 gigawatt, Germany, which has 69 gigawatt, India, which has 45 gigawatt, and Spain, which has 30 gigawatt, UK 30 gigawatt. So the reason I'm showing you these sort of 10, 15 countries is that we are looking at repowering only in those countries where a very large capacity has been set up, and it makes sense, to repower some of the capacity there because there already exists that kind of a potential. And if you look at it, Turkey has 15,000 megawatt or 15 gigawatt. So such countries up to Turkey, Italy, Australia also probably. There's not hard and fast rule that we should take top 10, but this is where we look at for the potential of the repowering potential. Okay, so these are the worldwide installations, and we are looking at fairly large capacities in the top 10, 15 countries. So what are the drivers, for repowering? If you look at it, we need more and more installations per year. And as we do add more and more capacity, significant capacity continues to get older. So this is an ongoing thing. This will happen all the time, that we add more and more wind farms, and some wind farms will continue to get older and older, 10 years, 20 years, and they would have to be either, scrapped completely at some point of time, or they would have to be replaced by a new wind farm asset. And this is where repowering comes in. So it's not a static thing, it's a dynamic thing, which will continue to happen year after year. And it is essential. There is no way. We have to, do away with old wind farms and come in with new technologies, modernize the old wind farm with the new technology. So this will happen. Now, the technology itself, we have seen the wind turbines, the technology itself shifts almost every 3 years. We have noticed that every 3 years there is a new model, new hub height, new rotor diameter that comes in to the field. And if we combine it over a period of 10 years, then there is a very significant shift in technology from what was existing earlier. And this very significant shift in technology itself is a great pull, or a great driver for repowering, because it comes with greater efficiency, comes with different cost economics, and makes more sense to do repowering and removing of the old wind farm or re-establishing a larger wind farm capacity. So these are the main drivers, of from a technological point of view of repowering. So how much is the potential for repowering? Now, this itself is a question. And if we look at it, today we have 1 terawatt of installed capacity. And if we look at something like, let me move this a little bit, yeah. If you look at around 2014, that is 10 years back, so we had 371 gigawatt. Now, this 371 gigawatt, a part of it is more than 20 years old now, but a part of it may be 10 years. The ones which were set up in 2014 will be 10-year-old, but all the ones earlier would be much more than that. And this is almost 1/3 the installed capacity. So we can say, as a thumb rule generally, and we found this in India also, that today we have something like 45 gigawatt of wind power capacity. And in around 2011-12, we had around 11-12 gigawatt of capacity. So roughly 1/3 of the total installed capacity. So we can say at any point of time, particularly in these large countries, where we have China, where we have US, Spain, Germany, at least 1/3 the existing capacity is eligible or is attractive for repowering of the asset. We discussed these main drivers of repowering. Technology changes every 3 years, and there is a very significant technology difference that happens in around 10 years. So I would say in 2014, we were setting up 2 megawatt or 2.1 megawatt wind turbines, yes, but they were at 80 meter hub height. Now the same rating we have, which we are doing at 2.1 megawatt at 140 meter hub height and a very different rotor diameter. So per megawatt, generation or per kilowatt generation is vastly different from what it was earlier. This has also enabled us to, harness those sites which we considered earlier not to be very attractive in terms of wind power. So all over the country now, many wind farms are coming up, which are around more than a plant load factor of 35%. And these are economically viable and across the country, along the sea coast and, inside. And this happens in all the other countries also. And there is a sort of optimization in technology which has happened, that in terms of rotor diameter, tower height, and these kind of things, wherein the technology has become more optimal for certain site conditions. So you can have class 3 site or class S site, where you have better technologies which can generate, give you something like 35% or more than 35% capacity utilization factor, which was class 3 and earlier not considered so suitable for wind farms. So this is a very significant thing that has happened in the technology. Now, where we had already set up a wind farm which was existing, which was generating maybe 20%, 25% capacity factor, there we can set up these new machines which can operate at 40% easily, 40% capacity factor. And this is a significant change. Also, it means a lot in terms of the grid. It is not just only the generation, because a high capacity factor wind turbine is much more grid friendly.
You have 2 minutes.
This is a significant aspect of this. And so there is more efficiency in terms of kilowatt hour per square kilometer, both on land as well as on the offshore oceanic surface area. That with the new technologies, we get more kilowatt hours per square kilometer or per point of the wind turbine. There is better grid compatibility, and project lifetime continues to be around 25 years. But some machines can be changed even before that. So what exactly is happening? Why? Where is this potential coming in from? So if you look at this diagram, you see the old wind turbine, these are the smaller wind turbines. We had in India, we had even 220 kilowatt, even 55. I started setting up projects with 55 kilowatt Vestas turbines. And these may be 500 kilowatt, 250 kilowatt. And today we have 3.5, 3.3, 3 megawatt, and 4 megawatt is also introduced recently. I'm talking from an Indian perspective, but globally, there are 4, 5, 6, 7 megawatt wind turbines which exist. But earlier they were smaller because I was involved in a project in Aurich, Germany, where I set up a 500 kilowatt wind turbine of Enercon. And this was on a 50-meter tower. Now we have 140 meter, even 160 meter towers where wind turbines are being set up. So by not repowering, we are losing out on part of space available to us, which is in the heights. So if you see, all these wind turbines are occupying land. But the smaller wind turbines of the olden times, they occupy the land, but they do not occupy the heights. They do not occupy the whole space that is available to us. So this whole space, which is the land plus the height, is opening up, and that is why we have better possibilities with repowering. So if we either intercrop with these smaller wind turbines, they may or may not make a large difference to the large wind turbines, but then we have to see where to place them and how to do the other things, get over the other issues of grid compatibility, ownership, and all these different kinds of things which are there, which we need to address. But by not doing a repowering, we are foregoing a very important part of the energy content in the wind, which is in the heights.
Jam, your time is over.
Okay, just 2 minutes. So here, I'll just quickly move on. I just show the transition in the technologies, and you can see that these are the rotor diameter and ratings and hub heights which have changed over the years. And now this 160 meter is the hub height, and this is the rating, and rating has also changed. Similarly, here we have the number of megawatts per, rather the kilowatt square meter per megawatt of wind turbine, and this has also changed. So we have more sweep area available per megawatt of installation in the new turbines. This is my last slide, more or less. The key issues in repowering are old projects versus vis-a-vis the area under new projects. So area-wise, there may be issues, and we will have to examine them on the ground. Power evacuation infrastructure was made earlier for the old wind farm. Now we have to see for a larger wind farm for a larger capacity. And if it is a whole region, for example, in south of Tamil Nadu, we have an area called Mupandal, where very significant capacity of wind farms exist. And if it is repowered, then it has an impact on the whole power infrastructure in that region. Then there are manner of repowering, whether we dismantle the old, refurbish the old, and we can mingle, old and new. There are issues with respect to agreements, contracts, PPAs, grid connection agreements. So all these different contractual aspects of an existing wind farm would have to be examined afresh and realigned with a new project. And this all requires a lot of work. And then there are financing issues, how to finance a repowering project. I will not go into much detail because this is a different topic, but I just flagged that these are the issues. I think this is my last slide. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I think this was a very good introduction into the topic, really highlighting the challenges, the basic challenges, and also what can be achieved. I've also made a rough calculation in the article that was published by the Indian Wind Power Association and our website as well, coming to the conclusion that by repowering those machines 10 years and older worldwide, we could double the wind power output. That is substantial, no? Without any new sites. Yeah, do we have any direct questions to Jami? As I said, we want to reserve some time at the end for discussion. Any direct questions? If that's not the case, yeah, again, thank you very much for this very good introduction. Then let's look into the first country, the concrete country, and this is China. And it's my pleasure to welcome Mr. Zhang Yu from the Chinese Wind Energy Association. I just heard that China broke a new record last year again with new installations. Congratulations for that. We will certainly soon publish our international statistics, but that's kind of the future. And now we look forward to hearing from you how the perspective, the Chinese perspective, is on repowering. And as we know that modern large-scale wind power in China also has a history now of 20 years and more. I'm very much interested in hearing from you. Mr. Zhang Yu, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Can I heard by everyone?
Yes, I can hear you well.
Okay. I will try to share my screen.
So it seems it's trying to connect.
Yeah, it's kind of slow. Yeah.
If there is a problem, we could also share this from our side, because you send us the presentation in advance. Oh, here we go. Good. If you just go to the presentation mode and then please go ahead.
Okay, just a few seconds. My computer is kind of slow right now.
Now it looks very good.
Oh, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Screen? Okay. Yes. Okay, hello everyone. My name is Zhang Yu, and I'm from CWEA, and also work as a manager of the wind department of CGC. CGC and CWEA is a unified organization. I will take the opportunity to share some information about the current situation of repowering, because China has already begun to do that kind of thing. And there are several projects that has already, there are some cases of repowering, and I would like to share one of them for your information. Okay. Yeah. First, I would like to give an overall outlook of the decommissioning forecast of China, because the wind power industry was booming from 2006. So from that time, and there are a lot of new installations. So we expect that by the year of 2030, there will be an extreme increase in the decommissioning requirements. So as we talk about repowering, and we see that is a part of the decommissioning work. So there is a part of the projects that require to be decommissioning earlier, so that to release part of the pressure of the decommissioning. So there are about currently there are quite few wind turbines that has come to the end of the lifetime, but by the year of 2030, there will be hundreds of times of the wind turbines that need to be replaced by the new machine. And if we look at the space scale, and almost 80% of the wind turbine are located in the north. And by the year of 2030, in the south, there will be beginning of the decommissioning wind turbines. And although the two pictures are showed by the same colors, but you can see the figures are 10 times, almost 10 times larger within these 5 years. Okay, back to the repowering. And as everyone knows that after 1 year of discussion, the NEA of China has released the regulation on the upgradation and the decommissioning of the wind farms in June last year. And in this regulation, it encouraged that old wind farms with more than 15 years lifetime or with less than 1.5 megawatts wind turbines that to repower at the early stage. And we have collected data from our organization that this regulation will cover almost 100 gigawatts of wind turbines. If we calculate the 15 years lifetime wind farms, that there will be 12 gigawatts with over 11,000 of wind turbines. And if we take the 1.5 megawatts wind turbines into account, and there will be lots of them. And if we calculate less than 1.5 megawatts, there will be 11 gigawatts. And the regulation didn't clearly define whether this requirements covered 1.5 megawatts. So there is a lot of discussion and a lot of projects that installed 1.5 megawatts wind turbines, wind farms that they require to repower at this time. And the benefits of the repowering has come into a common sense in China, that people realize that in the early stage, the wind farm development, they are very carefully selected with very good wind resources. comparing to the newly developed wind farms today. So so the wind is very good. So if they repower with the old machines with the state-of-the-art machines, and the output of the wind power will be extremely increased. And now there have generations of wind turbines in China, and recent 5 years, and revolution of the wind turbines technology has been very fast. So the area per kilowatts increased almost over 40% than the comparing to the early wind turbines. And equivalent full load hour can increase the over 30% if they are replaced. And some of the area, some of the projects that this equivalent full load hour can increase even with 50%. And the first benefits is that the old machines currently are quite difficult to maintenance, to do the maintenance, because it is very hard to find the supplies, components supplies, and there are few engineers that are familiar with the old machines. Especially almost all the old machines are imported from Europe, so there are lack of information about how to maintain it. And the modern wind turbines are there are a lot of supplies, and it's very easy to find and very cheap to do the maintenance. And there are a lot of human resources who are very familiar, skilled with those kind of machines. So let's talk. If we're talking about OPEX of the modern wind turbines, and they are quite low compared to the old ones. And another benefit is that repowering can greatly increase can increase when people want the project doing the repowering. It's there is an option that they can increase the capacity of the wind farm in some locations. So this will also give them the opportunity to enlarge their total capacity. And the last one is that when the government encourage that the people to do the repowering, so the documentation and approval procedure are some kind of simplified, because the developer didn't have to do the land permission when they do the repowering. Okay, and I would like to share an existed repowering of a wind farm located in the north of China. And this wind farm with a capacity of 87 megawatts. And the wind turbines are quite small wind turbines, and the repowering is carried out part of the wind farm. And there are 56 wind turbines with 7,500 kilowatts wind turbines, and 4 1.5 megawatts wind turbines are replaced with the modern wind turbines. So it's this repowering cover almost 50 megawatts capacity. And the older machines are replaced by 9 wind turbines with 5.5 megawatts wind turbines. So the total capacity is increased a little. And in this case, the approval is being simplified, that no land permission and acquisition will be needed, and equivalent full load hour has increased by 50%, and with the output of the yearly wind energy has increased also almost doubled. So if we are talking about these replaced machines.
You have 2 minutes
and this
left.
project, and these projects, the total cost is around 240 million RMB. And if we take into account the electricity price there, and it will bring 33.6 million increased income per year. So and now, so that's why the developer in China here is quite active in repowering. But there is some challenges still here. So it is very new regulation, and there are a lot of national-owned companies as the developer. So the process of the repowering is not very clear. So people are just trying to do that. And if we are talking about financing requirements, so there are lack of the guidelines to tell people how to do the calculation of the value left of the old machines. And the second is the repowering release the decommissioning market at the early stage. So we are not quite prepared when we're talking about the recycling of the replaced machines. But the market is doing experiments and try to do the efforts. So this kind of repowering activities will release some of the machine to encourage this kind of recycling market. And the third is that some of the projects are the approval process are still slow, because the local government, they have noticed that the central government has the requirements, but they don't know how to do it. And there are lack of existed cases for them to follow the procedure. So they are very cautious about this kind of permission. So, but I think in the future, maybe this year and the next year, and there will be more this kind of pilot projects that has shown that the benefits of the repowering, and that there will be more local government will establish the procedure and to make the procedure quite fast. So that's my information shared today. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Yeah. Thank you very much. That was a very interesting presentation of where China stands. And it's interesting to see that what you said, the Chinese government just issued last year, not that long ago, the first kind of regulations about repowering. And I think in one topic that you have raised in your last slide is something that we may even look into in a separate webinar, and this is the topic of recycling, what happens with the old wind turbines. Thank you so much from my side. Do we have questions from our audience? Well, anything that's not been clear? That seems not the case. And again, let me congratulate you. I can just also maybe mention that your colleagues told me that China installed last year around 75 gigawatt of new wind turbines. So this is really enormous, which is a new record. Congratulations on that. And of course, it's good to see that the repowering has a big potential in China as well. Thank you. With this, I have the pleasure to go to our next speaker from the now world's largest country in India. Now, I've seen somebody who raised the hand, Mark Weatherill.
Hi, Stefan. Yeah, hi. Sorry, I did have a question about that.
Very briefly, if that's, please. Yeah.
I did have a question about the presentation we just saw, if you don't mind. The case study, I put this in the chat, but that transition from 60 smaller turbines to 9 5.5 megawatt machines, was there any infrastructure that was actually reused? It's just such a drastic difference. Aside from roads, I was wondering if there was actually anything that was reused. Thank you.
So, Mr. Chang, can you answer?
Okay. So there are nothing left on the existing sites. So you can say that it is completely new constructions. But repowering here in China, they require that you must use the existing location of the sites. So new sites are available. So you have to carefully select it, which site you are going to reuse. And but the foundation, they are completely new.
Okay, so when you say the site, you mean the turbine locations. You have to reuse the turbine location.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
No new locations, yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark, for this question. I think we will also hear about a similar approach now from our next speaker, Dr. Karunamoorthy from India, where also I believe that the scale of the project from really small to large turbines that you're considering is similar. And my understanding has always been that repowering doesn't mean that you necessarily use much of the old infrastructure, but it's mainly about making use of the site where the old wind farm is replaced. Now, let's hand over and hear from India.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen. So I will share my screen. Yes. Is my screen visible?
Very good, yes.
Okay, good. So this is what I'm going to cover in this presentation. Repowering in India, examination of issues through a case study in Tamil Nadu. Because Tamil Nadu, it is having more than 10 gigawatt of installation. Yeah. So what is repowering? So my previous speakers also have covered this. So repowering policy is welcome initiative for optimum utilization of wind energy resources. Okay, it's a welcome initiative. There is a repowering policy there. Sub-megawatt size WECs, which are installed in high wind potential sites. Majority of these sites are class 1 and 2 wind sites with high wind speeds. Repowering would vastly increase the total energy output at these sites because it's all class 1 and 2 sites. So recap about the repowering. And here the case study, since I have mentioned, one case study I want to take you all through. This is Muppandal, one of the renowned site in southern part of Tamilnadu in India. The case study, we have taken this site. So if you take this Muppandal site at 50-meter hub height, there is the wind power density, WPD is 250 to 300 watts per meter square at 50-meter level itself. And if we take the WPD at 130-meter height, 400 to 500 watts per meter square. And at 140, it is 450 to 550 watts per meter square. This is the WPD level at various up heights of these Muppandal sites. Such a potential site this is in southern part of Tamil Nadu in India. Yes. Now this Muppandal case study at existing scenario, that is at 50-meter. So at 50-meter, the WPD was 250 to 300 watts per meter square. So the current installed capacity at this site is 1,840 megawatt current installation in this site alone. And the actual generation for 3 years, that is 2018, 3 calendar years, I would say, 2018, 19, 20, the millions units also, what is the million units of generated from 1,840 megawatt. See, now the projected scenario, when we go for the repower at 130-meter height, which is the standard hub heights of this current technology available in the market. So here, what we have done is, so we have seen in the previous slide, at 130-meter height, the wind power density was about 400 to 500 watts per meter square. So micrositing with the 3 megawatt series we have taken, and 3 megawatt. So here 1,840 is the existing scenario, which is 75 dB microsite in the same region, So we will get 1,848 megawatt, but the million units is increasing 3 times almost, 6,605 million units. Whereas here it is in the average of 2,360 or 2,300. So it is 3 times it is increasing here. At the same time, when we projected the scenario to 140 meter is, which is increasing to 7,135, having the 2 megawatt series WECs. So this is the things. Then let us see it in detail in the next slides. So this is a Muppandal case study. If we do the micrositing of the site by 5D, 7D, this is the scenario. If we do 5D, 8D, this is the scenario. Now the specific example of repowering for one site, where there are 32 numbers of 250 kilowatt turbines, totaling 8 megawatt existing turbines, the blue color marked, and then 9 numbers of 250 kilowatt surrounding turbines, the color code you can just see it, and again the 3 into 1.2 megawatt surrounding turbines. So there is a combination of 32 plus 9 and 3 machines clusters over here. So 32 plus 9, it is the 41 turbines of 250 kilowatt and 3 numbers of 1.2 megawatt. So now we are going to apply this repowering strategy over here. So here the current status we already seen in the previous slides. And repowering plan, if we go with the 3 megawatt series machines, none of the 3 megawatt can be installed here in the entire wind park. This is a challenge actually. Due to the changing distance criteria will reduce wind farm AP due to higher WEC, because this 3 megawatt WEC cannot be installed due to distance criteria. So we have the center point, we tried to microsite, the center point. one 3 megawatt series, but due to distance, entire wind farm, we are not even able to install one single turbine over here. At the same site, we tried with 2 megawatt series of backs. In that case, only one turbine of 2 megawatt is possible to install to maintain the distance. And the same site, if we install with 1 megawatt backs, 1 megawatt series, there are 11 megawatt is possible as against current 8 megawatt. Because of all these, micro siting criteria, the distance criteria, okay, this is the actual problem we are facing. This is a challenge actually. Yeah. And if you take this site 2, 16 numbers up to 50 kilowatt machine, it is a totaling 4 megawatt. There are surrounding turbines also, right? Then the same thing we tried. Even one megawatt BECCS cannot be installed due to distance criteria here. Because this Muppandal site is having almost 1840 megawatt potential. But, one site, if you look at it, these are the challenges we are facing. It's a, practical case study we did in November 2023 from Indian Wind Power Association. So looking at the previous slides, the challenges, the calculations are assumed that all projects in Muppandal area are repowered. That is 1840 megawatt. What is the million units we saw? And when we repowered, what is the millions of units we are getting it? However, the challenges include fragmented ownership. The ownership of the land parcels, actually there is a big challenge because there are 250 kilowatt of turbines, large number of 250 kilowatt, and there is a fragmented ownership. And then the multiple owners owning project capacity less than 5 megawatts. Convincing every owner in the wind park to take up repowering. These are all the challenges. Again, redistribution of generation capacity within the evacuation system. Because the old evacuation systems are 11 kV, 22 kV. It is a combination of 11, 22, and even 33. Then it is 110, 230. There are a lot of these things. So redistribution arrangements for the generation capacity within the evacuation system also a challenges. Incremental augmentation of grid substation. So the grid substation also augmentation needed. As per policy, DISCOMs, that is distribution companies, will purchase power at a feed-in tariff. That is, FIT means the fixed, like feed-in tariff rate for a period of 25 years from the date of commissioning date of the original project only. So as per policy, the current repowering policy says this. There is a uncertainty about the balance life of the repowered projects. So what will be the tariff for the balance life of the repowered project? There is no clarity in it. Investors expect clarity on returns before investing, obviously, because any investor will look for the clarity on the returns before they invest, right? And in Tamil Nadu, approval from MOD, that is Ministry of Defense, and NOC from Airport Authority of India will be a challenge because these projects were developed, constructed 25 years or 3 decades ago. Now, a lot of development has happened in this region. So getting this MOD, which was not there at that time, that is 25 years ago or 3 decades ago. Now it is mandatory to go for this MOD and Airport Authority of India invoices. So that is the challenges. So I'm just covering all the challenges in such a potential site. The last one is the flourishing real estate business in Tamil Nadu make wind turbine unviable. Because the land which was owned or purchased 3 decades ago, now the fragmented ownership, if anybody want to go for the repowering, getting that land at the price is very abnormal now. So that is also a very big challenge now. So that is the Muppandal, one of the southern part in Tamil Nadu challenges. And also for the further understanding, Tamil Nadu, why I have taken this Karnataka, because Tamil Nadu is totally a plain terrain site. Whereas the Karnataka, it is totally, hillocks area. The complex terrains, the Karnataka. So what are all the challenges we are facing in complex terrain sites. So here the higher size WECs cannot be used for repowering on hilly terrains or forest lands. Example, Karnataka, another southern state of India. In past, forest land approvals are obtained on footprint basis, that is 0.7 acre per turbine. Extending the lease is time consuming and expensive. I mean, getting the licensing work done through with the forest department, it is almost 3 to 4 years time, according to our previous experience. So now it is, almost that is what I mentioned. It's a time consuming and it is also expensive one. The road gradients and turning radius are made for WECs sizes ranging between 230 kilowatt to 1.5 megawatt. Because 2-3 decades ago, these were the sizes and 1.5 megawatt was the maximum size. So construction of the road, the gradients and turning radius are made for WECs. It's a big challenges in complex terrains. So modifying the existing road gradients and turning radius for bigger WTs will be very expensive. So for better understanding, you can see the road formation on complex terrain. The Google image of the project near Chitradurga. You can see here the gradient, we cannot, maintain it, and the widening of the road is also a problem, and maintaining the turning radius in case if you are going for the repowering with the higher capacity WECs. So that is also not possible here. So what we will be doing with these sites? So that is also challenges. So that is what I have taken one plain terrain, that is Tamil Nadu. One is from the complex terrain, that is in Karnataka. So here you can see the close image, the road formation on complex terrain. See. Here there is, widening also, it's a huge expensive and it is not possible, and turning radius, that is the main thing in Karnataka. So this is the, summary of repowering from all my previous slides. That is, when repowering done at complete farm level, overall wind farm AEP increases. There is no doubt about it. But
We have 2 minutes left.
Yeah, the investor-wise repowering is not practical because of this fragmented, ownership of the land parcels. Best optimization if entire site is repowered. So entire site is repowered, then best optimization possible. Land pooling and ownership issues are a challenge, as I explained in the very big first slides. Easy to implement on plain terrains, that is Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, Rajasthan. But hilly terrains like Karnataka, that is complex and will have challenges for transportation and installation of the WECs. Capacity of WECs depends on specific site. A redesigning of 33 kV, PCM, that is project concept note, and augmentation of evacuation system, as I told. Then class 1 and class 2 WEC are required. At this moment, we have class 3 plus. Okay, but class 1 and 2, back into serial production, we got to bring those turbines, and it has to be enlisted in the RLMM process by ministry, that is MNRE, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. And then the commercial aspects must be addressed. Commercial aspects. So whether the investor will get some concessional duties, annual wheeling and banking at the policy level, policy front, and FIT, that is feed-in tariff, all those things, the commercial aspect must be addressed. So repowering recommendation, existing WECs continue to generate at the same level even after 25 years of installation. Wind farm owners have approached certification bodies and obtained, because the old wind farm owners, they have approached certification bodies after the life extension certificate. Hence, the existing owners should be allowed to operate the turbine beyond 25 years with the necessary certification. So repowering policy should be optional, and wind farm, this is our recommendation, because it should be optional and the wind farm owners should be allowed to make decision. Finally, for repowering to be successful, the existing owners will have to be incentivized, because the investor look for, some incentive approach has to be done from the government. So this is the conclusion. Thank you so much. I think, Martina, I have completed within time.
Yeah, wonderful. Yes, thank you so much also from my side. Thank you. That was, I think, a very, very concrete presentation, very useful, without doubt. And I think one aspect that you have mentioned here certainly an aspect that we deserves a lot of attention is land ownership and the land lease, the price for land lease. This is getting a limiting factor now, and in some projects I know it's even making it impossible to economically feasibly continue with projects. And do we have any questions to our speaker? There is one from Mr. Karthikeyan.
Yeah, Karthikeyan. Yeah.
Please.
You are on mute.
Yes. Please unmute yourself.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. And actually, Karunamoorthy explained it very clearly about the scenery of the states, Tamilnadu and Karnataka. It's correct. It's perfectly right. But I made some additional work, like he tried to introduce a megawatt range of turbines. And when I tried to introduce 750 megawatt, where the 250 kilowatt turbines are installed, it works better because it is somewhat easy to accommodate the turbines in a 250 kilowatt turbines area. It appears much easier compared introducing a megawatt range of turbines. But I don't know whether it will be acceptable or practically possible. In addition, so as you said, so it becomes highly impossible to introduce megawatt range of turbines. But I tried other options. See, for example, if you disconnect one complete substation, if you remove all the turbines that is connected to one single substation where you have a lot of area, when I tried that, I could introduce megawatt ranges of turbines successfully. But as you said, there are a lot of practical difficulties in it because there are some people who run their 250 kilowatt turbines who still prefer to run it for another extended period. So these are all the practical challenges being faced because I feel personally there should be a lot of support that is should be extended from the government side because they should make something mandatory to stop the turbines, and those who are not willing to continue using the turbine or the location, they should sell it or give it to somebody else who is interested to use it. So actually, some kind of...
Do we have any question from the presentation I made? I mean,
it is.
If I may just maybe if you can say, because I see there is a different, but okay. I think let's if you can come to the conclusion, and then I would like brief response to that.
Yeah, actually, but I don't know. Actually, when we go for this one, I'm a bit worried. Will in India will they allow us as 1 megawatt turbines? When if I increase the size, it becomes highly impossible to repower the old turbines. So my concern is
I have given all the models 3x, 2x, and 1 megawatt. But in that case, we got to bring that class 1 and 2 turbines back to India, and the serial production has to be taken, and there are everything I got covered in it. Do you have any questions in it?
No.
But I think that was it. If I may, because in the interest of time, I think it was a slightly different angle with regard to should the people be optional repowering or not. That's a question we will not have a final answer because we are here in international discussion. But I'm sure that you will find also ways of continuing this discussion and come to the best solution for India. From my side, thank you very much again to Dr. Karunamoorthy. And maybe later we have again questions. And now let's move to our next speaker. And I'm very grateful, Professor Chuichi Arakawa, you are still with us because it's late in Japan. You're joining us from Japan, I assume from Tokyo. May I hand over to you directly that you tell us about the situation of repowering in Japan? Of course, we know Japan doesn't have the same size like China or India in terms of installations, but it has a lot of, a long history. Professor Arakawa.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction. Yes, now it's more 11 o'clock in the evening. I feel sleepy now. But anyway, I'd like to introduce Japanese status of repowering. Martina, would you please help me to show my slide from your side?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, Martina, I will make you co-host, which you are not at the moment. Yes, in the meantime, let's also just explain that we chose this time of the day because we have people also from the United States who are joining us. For them, it's quite early morning. And now, Professor Arakawa, I really do appreciate the flexibility of everyone getting up early, being with us late in the evening. And now, Professor Arakawa, again, the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you, Martina. Please show us a full screen mode, much more. It's okay now. This is the first slide. Now in Japan, we are very eager to develop offshore wind. Yes, next slide, please. Yes, I repeated the Japanese status of wind power at first, although I explained it several times. Now Japan has just 4.8 gigawatt as a total capacity, although world wind power capacity is more than 1,000 gigawatt. As far as know, our position is 22nd ranking in the world. But anyway, we are very eager to promote offshore wind now. Okay, next slide, please. Furthermore, our capacity of wind power is very, very small compared with our capacity of solar. The position of Japanese solar is maybe second or third position in the world, the total accumulation, but Japan wind is very, very small one. Okay, next, please. This is wind power capacity, new capacity, installed capacity from around 2000 to up now. The unit is 400, 500, or megawatt is also the same, 500, something like that. It's anyway very small size. Okay, next. Now you can see the new data. Wind turbine units of removed in every from 2001 to 2021. You can see in the left-hand side the removed turbines has reached 80 units in 2021. Of course, in comparing with other countries like China and India, the unit of 80 is nothing. But in Japan, 80 units has removed. It's a very important event. You can see in the right figure, yes, number of units in or what start operation. Yes, start operation, but we put very another figure, removed one, and operation. We show you the two parts, removed one and operation. Of course, now before 2000, most of turbines has already been removed and replaced. You can see the situation in this figure. Okay, the next slide. I would like to introduce two examples of repowering in Japan. The first one is Ura's Tomamae wind farm in 2022. Tomamae is a kind of origin of Japanese wind power, so-called cyclist farm or some important area, important town, which is located in Hokkaido, around 1,000 kilometers north from Tokyo. Now we are in the season of winter. Tomamae area is, as far as I heard, it's a kind of white out because it snows very hardly now. Anyway, U.S. wind sector has completed the first wind farm of Tomamae in 2020. But you can see the old farm capacity was 220 megawatts. But new farm in 2022, after repowering, is also the same or as old one, 20 megawatt. Of course, they took the bigger size of turbines. It means number of units, turbines becomes smaller than the previous one. But they were requested to keep the same output of wind farm to use electrical grid system. It's a big barrier, electric grid system. Furthermore, they are requested to obtain consent from local people. The condition with the same output and the obtaining consent is feed-in tariff reduction of 3 Japanese yen per kilowatt hour to previous price. It's around 20 Japanese yen per kilowatt hour, 3 yen reduction. It's a little tricky situation. Ideally, we would like to make the size larger and larger when we have the repowering as other countries. But in Japan, it's very, very strict to electric grid systems. So it's very difficult for the time being. Next slide, please, is another example of repowering, J-Power, the same town, same village, Tomamae. There are 3 wind farms in the same town of Tomamae. Another wind farm organized by J-Power has also completed repowering last year. In this wind farm, the total capacity was 30 megawatt with 14 units and of 1.6 megawatt and 5 units of 1.5 megawatt. But new farm this time consists of 8 units of 4.3 megawatt turbine, but they are requested to be output control by the same power, 30.6 megawatt in operation. Of course, it comes from the same reason as the previous one by Ura's company. Okay, next slide. I'm very lucky to get more detailed data from Mr. Yoshinori Ueda from Japanese Wind Power Association, big association of the industries. They have the good number Yes, anyway, they gather the detailed data of wind power. You can see in this figure the both of wind turbine decommission and repowering in the slide. Now, you understand certainly the repowering in Japan is increasing 2020, but it's not the same size as the decommission for the last 2 or 3 years ago. So it means some of them, half of them are removed, and they didn't have any plan to do repowering. Next slide, please. This is a detailed experience of replace last year in Japan. There are 9 wind farms to be replaced. But you can see all of 9 wind farms is replaced as the same previous power. For example, the example 1 and 2 and 3, it consists of 3 wind turbines in the former time, but it's replaced by just 1 wind turbines with the same power, total power, not total power, because it's 1 wind turbines. It's a little strange, but it is a Japanese custom for the time being. 8th example is Tomamae example, as I have already explained. Yes, next slide. It's a conclusion. We have just started the process for repowering wind farm after 20 years operation in Japan. 20 years operations. The most of them is to keep the same capacity for the electric grid system and social acceptance of local people with the price reduction of feed-in tariff. Some wind farms were stopped in operation and their turbines were removed. For onshore wind farm, there are so strong barriers to develop even now with social acceptance, such as some opposition group, severe opposition group activity of the national-wide in Japan. It is not the action of local persons. It's a kind of group or in the national-wide in Japan. It's a big problem. In order to succeed in carbon neutral by 2050, we need to pay strong attention to develop onshore wind as well as offshore wind in Japan. The repowering of onshore after 20 years operation should be completed successfully in parallel with the plans of new farms. Personally hope we'd like to enlarge the size of onshore wind farm when we have the repowering. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chuichi, for this presentation of the situation in Japan. And it's interesting to see that obviously in Japan, the potential of multiplying the capacity is not really used much. Maybe that can be done more in the future so that also the capacity is getting more. Now, we have any questions to Professor Arakawa?
Yeah, I have a comment.
Yes, please.
I find it very interesting that though Japan has much less capacity compared to India and China, they seem to have a very good ongoing program of repowering. And they have already repowered some of their wind farms. And interestingly, you are not looking at enhancing the megawatt capacity, but you have reduced the number of machines and kept the megawatt capacity same while you have modernized their wind farm with new turbines. I think this is an interesting concept which will apply in many places. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Of course, we need to break the very conservative loop of the repowering in future. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, well, I'd say I personally hope that we can increase the wind turbine capacity, the overall wind turbine capacity. We have more, then we can make better use of the existing sites. But anyway, it's interesting to see how it's done in Japan, and thank you very much, especially also for staying up and sharing this first-hand information with us. Now let's move to, well, the world, because it's my pleasure to welcome our next speaker, Simon Benmarraze. I hope that I pronounce your family name well. Simon, please correct me. And you are representing here the International Renewable Energy Agency, which, and I was pleased to hear that when we contacted you, has already started to work on that from a global perspective, also kind of looking into how you as IRENA can support the member states, the more than 150 member states that IRENA has in repowering wind farms. Let me hand over to you, Simon, and floor is yours.
Thank you, Stefan. Just to confirm, you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
I like to nice way how you're integrated into your screen.
I like to thank you and the World Wind Energy Association for the invitation. We've been fortunate to collaborate with you and your team for many years, and we really look forward for the future engagement there. My name is Simon Benmarraze. Pronunciation, Stefan, was excellent. I'm the team lead for technology infrastructure at the IRENA Innovation and Technology Center. So we are looking at those specific aspects, working with countries to elevate the topics that needs to be discussed on a national base platform to support the much needed energy transition. And we'd like to thank you for bringing this subject for your first webinar of the year. As you mentioned, IRENA, we are an intergovernmental organization, meaning we work with countries, 168 member countries across the world, from the north and the south. We are working with them in our mission to promote the widespread and the adoption and use of all forms of renewable energy. Why is this topic important? In the past decade, wind energy has not just grown, it has soared, expanding over fivefold. This phenomenal growth is a beacon, signaling the central role wind energy is playing in the energy transition. Our estimates by 2030 is that wind could power the globe alongside solar, with capacity reaching around 3.5 terawatts, and this will be soaring to more than 10 terawatts by 2050, according to our World Energy Transition Outlook published last year now. This vision sets the stage for a future where wind power does not just contribute, but dominates the energy landscape. But here's the catch. Achieving this future is not just about building more, it's about building smarter. Repowering, we heard it before, upgrading older wind farms with modern technology is essential. With onshore needing to ramp by nearly 280 gigawatts annually and offshore wind leaping from 3 gigawatts to at least 50 gigawatts yearly. The message is clear. We're looking at a transformation demanding our attention and our action. Decommissioning, extending, or repowering wind farm, you heard it before, are pivotal decisions in renewable strategy at the local level, at the national level. Sorry. Decommissioning entails dismantling wind energy infrastructure at its life end, a measure of last resort to ensure alignment with renewable energy target. It implies seizing economic gain from existing assets, underscoring the importance of maximizing the use before this stage. Extending a wind farm life allows for additional economic benefit from well-operating turbines. Yes, I'm still here. Sorry, connection is sometimes fluctuating. This involves assessing turbine condition. List term, we heard before the issue of land lease agreement, and the potential for technological upgrade to enhance performance and efficiency. We believe repowering should leverage established infrastructure and community support driven by the opportunity of significantly improved performance. And that is the value we need to disseminate with local stakeholders. This includes integrating advanced, flexible technology like storage system to optimize energy input. Each choice, decommissioning, extending, repowering, shapes the future of many countries in the developing world. They demand careful evaluation of economic, environmental, and technical consideration, answering decisions support long-term and sustainable energy goals. Choosing between full and partial repowering hinge on evaluating tech advance and operational goals. Full repowering, typically we see in countries involve replacing all turbine components, hubs, rotor blades, nacelle, and sometimes the tower with the latest design to achieve maximum energy efficiency. Partial repowering targets specific upgrades, such as retrofitting advanced aerodynamic blades or high efficiency gearbox, while retaining existing towers and foundation. One challenge we see in many countries is around foundation adaptation. New turbines, especially those with larger rotor diameters and higher capacity, impose greater loads. Assessing whether existing foundation can withstand this increased demand is critical, involving detailed structural analysis to ensure longevity and safety. Early repowering is often the strategic option for sites with high wind potential. By upgrading to already now more efficient technology before the end of a turbine technical lifespan, operators can capitalize on enhanced performance, reducing operational cost and increasing energy production in the balance sheet of the company operating this asset. This approach requires a deep understanding of turbine technology evolution, correct site assessment, and the underlying economic analysis to maximize the return on investment for the investors. The experience in the US and in Europe, here in Denmark, in wind farm repowering, provide for the Global South insightful models to enhance their energy targets. In the US, the PTCs, the production tax credit, coupled with new technological advancement, has enabled significant growth in partial wind farm repowering, with more than 1.3 gigawatts of capacity partially repowered in 2018 alone, and a projected quarter of North Africa wind turbine fleet nearing the end of its lifetime by 2030, the emphasis on repowering is critical and necessary for harnessing the US wind energy potential. Denmark approach is characterized by was characterized by pioneering efforts in Europe and resulted in 38% of its wind energy project between 2012 and 2019 being repowered initiative. By 2019, repowering constituted the majority of the market share for added capacity, showcasing a profound shift toward reinvestment in existing farm sites. These precedents underscore, we believe, the importance of repowering as a strategic investment in the longevity and efficiency of wind energy assets. For countries in the Global South, adapting these practices and lessons from established markets can accelerate the transition towards sustainable energy. We learned at COP, we need to triple renewable energy capacity and double down on energy efficiency. Repowering can put us, let's say, in that pathway. The evolution of technology matters, and within wind farm, they signify a quantum leap in a new era of transformative shift. The power capacity of turbine has seen significant jump thanks to, as I mentioned before, advancement in aerodynamics, materials, and generator technology. This is the fundamental enhancement in how wind farm will be repowered. Rotor diameter as well have expanded, a change driven not only by the mere enlargement of the component, but by a meticulous redesign of blade length and curvature. This adjustment substantially increased the area swept by the blades, enabling the capture of more wind energy, a crucial factor to increase the efficiency of those farms. Concurrently, the increment in hub heights is a natural evolution to accommodate larger rotors and higher altitudes, where wind flow we know are steadier and stronger. I'm going to accelerate a bit. Modern turbines, with their superior efficiency, we see are setting new standard in energy production. Economically, on the other hand, repowering should represent an attractive proposition. The investment cost associated with the upgrade to newer turbine offer undercut those required for launching new projects from scratch. This cost effectiveness is further underscored by the reduced operational and maintenance expenses due to the decrease in downtime and improved performance of modern systems. Moreover, repowering projects inherit a distinct advantage over new ventures: the reduced uncertainty, the availability of land, pre-existing infrastructure for power and offload, and historical wind speed data from older sites mitigates the risk that investors will ask developers to respond with credible mitigation measures. Navigating the complexity of repowering wind farm, from what we see, reveal a landscape ripe for both, let's say, solving challenges and proposing standards for those new solutions. Challenges include the need, and we heard it before, I'm going to go faster, the need for grid modernization to accommodate the enhanced output of new turbines. Repowering also interrupt production to the temporarily reducing the revenue streams. The process as well require navigating sometimes new transmission licensing procedures due to new capacity alongside logistical hurdles. All those challenges can be solved today. This is the message for government and also for the private sector. First, we need to have more collaboration with grid authorities or authorities in charge of grid, let's say transmission and operation, which can facilitate phased grid upgrades, incorporating new technology for improved integration. Also, repowering during off-peak period, coupled with securing interim financial support, can mitigate the loss of revenues. Early engagement with regulatory body can streamline licenses, finally presenting analysis that show the final return on investment to investor can also be helped by considering staggered investment approach. On the policy side, we see as well repowering radically transforming the wind farm landscape. Feed-in tariff with repowering initiative can significantly lower the barrier for initial investments. Production tax credit, likely in the US, can extend more lucrative offers for repowering product. Certificate increase revenue for the installation, and direct subsidy and the necessary fiscal incentive can make repowering financially viable, especially in the developing world. As a summary, we stand today on the cusp of an energy revolution fueled by wind energy, which not only contribute but leads the charge in our global transition towards a sustainable future. This journey underscores repowering not as a mere option, but as an essential strategy catapulting the wind energy sector beyond simple capacity enhancement to a holistic evolution of new solution and repowered solution. In this era of rapid growth, repowering stands at the beacon of transformative efficiency. This is not only about making all farm better. This is about reimagining them through the prism of modern technology and using the foundation, physical, but also conceptual, laid by their predecessor to achieve unprecedented performance level. This strategy transcends traditional metrics, merging enhanced performance with cost effectiveness and strategic risk mitigation, thereby setting new benchmarks. Yet, we know challenges, be it economic, logistical, regulatory, infrastructural, demand innovation solution and a steadfast resolve of all parties involved. We look forward to collaborate with parties like the World Wind Energy Association, but also with national government to make this topic more at the top of their consideration. Back to you, Stefan.
Thank you very much, Samuel. That was an excellent overview of kind of even something that we've been thinking of developing. It's giving, I think, identifying very well what are the key points when it comes to repowering and what could be the solutions. If I may ask the audience whether there are any comments before I think I will have some.
Just before, because I think maybe we are also really happy to collaborate. This is the essence of IRENA, and happy to contribute. And last but not least, I'd like to thank my colleague Omar Marzouk, who helped me prepare also those elements for this discussion today.
Great. Thank you for that. There is also one comment here from the US. We had also invited NREL to join. Unfortunately, they're very busy at the moment, so they couldn't on short notice. But they sent some resources which I'm sharing here with you about the situation in the United States. And as long as I don't see any direct kind of raised hands, I would just spontaneously, when I look at what you have already presented, and I think what we heard from kind of the more practical side from people who are developing wind farms, there's a lot of overlap. This is all reflected in what you've presented. Whether it would make sense to kind of do something like empirical analysis, maybe survey, and find out how important are those factors kind of on the ground. That's something that I could imagine could be very relevant and help both on IRENA to further develop that, and also then when we go back to with the policy advice you've already developed, when kind of the investors can refer to that, that's certainly also very helpful.
Stefan, yes, I think this is the basis of it, and yeah, I think critically identifying also in specific condition, because not all geographies are the same, not all are, and survey can really help that to attract, whether we're talking about site, about turbines, equipment, and also process involved there. So fully aligned on that, yes.
Yes, so certainly something we don't conclude at this point of time. Jami, I see that you have switched on your camera. You would like to comment?
Yeah. So, Simon, very interesting and nice presentation of this overview. And in my view, different institutions like IRENA and also many other institutions are very important, and a collaborative effort, with these kind of institutions from internationally as well as nationally, if they are brought together, we can carry forward the idea of repowering more effectively. So I think WWEA can collaborate more, Stephen, with Simon and IRENA. Thank you very much.
Yes. I mean, you've already heard some different perspective. I think the countries we've heard, when one listens carefully, quite different, but also similarities in that. So let's take that discussion up, and we certainly have also internal meetings and come back to you and see what, based on this webinar and the great work you've already done, how we can further support repowering in the sense of helping wind power to grow stronger. With this, we come to a specific aspect, or it seems to be a specific aspect, because it's my pleasure that we can have as our last speakers two speakers from our small wind section, Frits Ogg from the Netherlands and Mike Bergey from the United States, who are both involved in small wind, which is typically defined as below 100 kilowatt wind turbines. And we know that this is something that not automatically someone thinks about when you think of repowering, because we don't talk about replacing 100 kilowatt machines by 5 megawatt machines, but it's also an important industry sector. And we know in particular, that's why I'm pleased we have Mike Bergey here in the US now, with the Inflation Reduction Act. There is a new momentum on that. So I would like you both to share your thoughts also after you heard, of course, the other colleagues speaking. And I don't know how you want to share. Maybe Frits had a little bit more time to wake up I know, Mike, for you it's early in the morning. Shall we start with an intervention from Frits, and then Mike, you can kind of...
Yeah, I do have a slide deck, so I'll let Frits go first, and then I'll clean up, as they say.
Okay.
Frits, you want to share slides?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
You see?
I think it's not yet coming, but...
You see my slides?
Not yet, no.
Not yet, okay. I have to do it again. Okay, it's a new feature.
Says nothing is moving here. Shall we either use... no.
Oh, this one works. Okay. Oops. It's not the whole. I think I can better ask Martina. This is not working. Wow. Yes, that's better. Okay. Well, a lot of the things I have in my presentation are already mentioned in the previous presentations. So I will be, this will be a very short presentation. The next slide, Martina. Okay, so this one is already mentioned by IRENA. It's more about the terminology I was missing, so I have it all also here. It's more about smaller turbines. I will be next on that on the next slide. Partly repowering is really partly repowering a part of the wind turbine, but it's already mentioned in several presentations before. Next slide. Okay, so partly repowering can be divided in refurbish and retrofit, or a combination of both. Refurbish will say renew nearly all, and retrofit is only one part. If that's not taking place, you can reuse or replace your wind turbine when you renew it. You can reuse the parts, and if it's that possible, recycle it. It's also mentioned in the previous presentations. One of the benefits I didn't hear here is about a refurbished second-hand wind turbine is about half the price of a brand new equivalent. It's also important to someplace it. And there is said that availability of second-hand wind turbines have a short lead time. Next slide. Well, where do we partly repower in small and medium? It's mostly used for the solitary wind turbines or smaller wind farms when it's about places where small wind turbines are placed now. Remember, 90% of the Earth's surface is rural area with a weak grid. And these pictures are from the Isle of Runu. We have also 10,000 of islands worldwide. And this is from the island of Runu, which needed a capacity of a wind turbine of 500 kilowatts. And the ferry only could handle a wind turbine of 225 kilowatts, Vestas V27, 225. So they needed two turbines because of the capacity of the ferry. Next slide. Okay, so we saw the logistics, and we saw that also in previous presentations. Weak grid is often a problem. The nuisance circle, we also saw that in a presentation on India. Infra and foundation can be costly. The availability of wind turbines can be a reason. It can be a reason to lower the CO2 emissions by using refurbished material. You can use it as an extended warranty by retrofit. You can have to meet demands on new grid codes, can be locally a higher demand, and there could be a combination with solar and you need new electronics. Next slide. This is my favorite application. This the oldest megawatt turbine in the world, in Twent, 1975. Local electricity grid can handle no more than 500 kilowatts. So it never produced 1 megawatt. And it was also, they were also used in the turbine when it was erected, a second-hand turbine. And after that, it's retrofit several times and still operating. Last slide. Well, my point is also became clear in the previous presentations. Last slide. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Frits. You really kept your promise to keep this short, and thank you very much for introducing a different perspective here into our discussion. Do we have questions directly to Frits, or shall we move directly to Mike Bergey? So I think that's really important lesson.
Just one thing. I didn't mention, let's say, the smaller turbines, and that's the turbines where Mike is working with. So I left this part for Mike.
Yes, I think that is a good opportunity. But again, let's emphasize, we heard from Japan that it's not necessarily that there is a larger installed capacity, but we also have turbines which are intended to be small because, for example, they serve a household, a farm. There is a need for these small wind turbines, and I already grateful that you introduced kind of more the medium-sized sector. And now let's invite Mike Bergey from the United States, who is co-chair together with Frits of our small wind section. And Mike, you're also as I hear, a busy entrepreneur in the United States and also beyond that. Please share your thoughts with us.
Okay. Well, thank you, Stefan, for the opportunity. I believe my screen is now coming up. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to try to go to full screen. Here we go. Okay, so as Stefan and Frits warned you, I'm going to talk about small turbines. So I know that we've spent almost 2 hours on large turbines, but there is a small wind turbine industry out there, and actually it's doing reasonably well these days, particularly in the US. I have the honor of being the president of the Distributed Wind Energy Association, so I have a pretty good understanding of both the opportunities and challenges of small wind in the US, and my company is actively involved in repowering. A little bit about Bergey Wind Power. I won't spend much time. It's not an advertisement, but we've been around for over 45 years. We've produced over 10,000 systems, and they're spread throughout the United States and around the world. We have worked hard over the years to simplify the mechanics, so we only have 2 to 4 moving parts and can go without annual maintenance. We do recommend inspections, but the simplicity of the machines has served us well in terms of operational reliability and longevity. Through the years, we've introduced different size turbines. We started with a 1 kW in 1980. In 1983, in response to demands for greater energy generation, we introduced a 10 kilowatt turbine, and we produced that actually through today, although that's not our main product anymore. But then at various times we've done other size turbines up to 50 kilowatts. And we did operate a subsidiary in China for 16 years and produced quite a few turbines there, primarily for remote telecom applications. But starting in about 2009, we saw a drop off of sales because solar became much less expensive. And so we lost market share and distribution channels to solar. We took a little while to recover from that, but we went to the drawing table and developed a whole new technology platform, going from furling to stall regulation, and using the tricks we learned from large wind turbine manufacturers of doing custom airfoils to allow us to put bigger rotors on the same structure, increasing annual energy output without increasing CapEx. So we had support from the U.S. Department of Energy, which was very helpful, and this just shows the evolution of the technology. So we have a turbine now, a 15 kW, that produces over double the energy of the original 10 kilowatt and lowers the life cycle cost of energy by more than 50%. And this chart, and I won't go over all of it, but look at the circled items. With the advanced technology, we're able to improve the efficiency by 33%, the annual energy by 139%, and lower the LCOE. This is just the turbine before any advances in installation, which we also did. But the important thing there is that it can go on the same towers as a 10 kW. So we have a very large increase in energy production that can go on the same towers. That means the thrust loads from the turbine are very close to the old technology. And so that opened up a good sized market for us for repowering. And so I just wanted to talk about in large wind farm scale, you have very valuable land and you have unused resources from taller towers. And so there's an economic advantage, particularly as you get towards end of life on the existing turbines, to put in new infrastructure, which often includes new towers. In the case of small wind turbines, it's a little bit different. We're primarily trying to replace systems that are not working, and they're not working because they've either had a failure that's expensive to repair, it's major, it's poor design. The system just was not able to operate for very long because it just wasn't adequately designed or had defects in manufacturing. A common problem is that there's no local maintenance and service. When the solar prices got so low, a lot of dealers and distributors went out of business. A number of companies went out of business because they just couldn't compete with solar. And so that left a lot of orphan turbines. And if there's a match between the capabilities of the tower and the foundation, those can be repowered. A secondary reason which is less common, but will be more common in the future, is that the customer, the owner, wants to increase the energy production. Maybe they've bought a new electric vehicle. They want to switch from gas heat to electric heat, or they've just their family has grown and they just need more energy. So we do see that market, and it's increasing. An important factor in the U.S. is that the repower work qualifies for the existing incentives, both the investment tax credit and the grants that are available for agricultural projects. The pictures I show here, the top picture is a old, pretty worn out Jacobs 17 kW wind turbine, and the bottom photo is the repower with a new Bergey 10 kilowatt turbine. This was an off-grid application, and so the customer was very appreciative to get supplemental power. Unlike the repowers for large wind, the small wind repowers are almost always using the existing tower and foundations. It was previously noted that it's important to check the loads if you are going to do that, and that's certainly the case with us. So the most important factors are the thrust loads that the new wind turbine is going to put on the tower, and making sure that that structure is sufficient for the new turbine. But there's also an issue with blade clearance. Sometimes, particularly if you're repowering from a tower that held a higher capacity wind turbine, the tower spread may be too high, too great to allow the sufficient blade clearance. So I'll show you an example of that here in a second. We have to check the wire run suitability. Are the wires big enough? Are enough conductors? And we typically have to install new electronics. In small wind, the electronics are crafted for a specific wind turbine. So making the old electronics work with a new wind turbine is really more trouble than it's worth. And finally, we need to check whether the interconnection point where we have a load center breaker panel, a fuse panel, has sufficient capacity. And sometimes that has to be upgraded. It's not unlike making sure that your large wind farm project has the substation or the transformer capabilities to handle the new equipment. So here's an example of a turbine that was originally a 25 kW turbine. Manufacturer went out of business. There was no, the turbine did not operate for about 4 or 5 years. And so we were able to, dealer proposed and the customer purchased one of our turbines to replace it. So their first picture shows them taking the old turbine off. The bottom picture shows the 15 kW Bergey turbine being prepared for assembly. And in this case, the tower was too wide up at the top for the proper blade clearance. And so a stub tower, which is shown in the photo there, had to be constructed. And then the final photo over on the right side is the completed installation. You'll note that in the US, we use taller towers than you will typically see in Europe, and that's because we have tall trees a lot of places. So being able to match up thrust loads and ensure ourselves on the structure, we have been able to replace a wide variety of turbines, and these are all projects that we've done at Bergey Wind Power, or our dealers have done, is actually more accurate. So we replaced our own 10 kilowatts with 15s. We've a number of Jacobs turbines, different sizes, Proven, Kingspan, SD, as they're called now. The Gaias, Endurance 60 kWs, and of course we had to put stub towers on those. The Chinese Evoco Osiris turbines, redriven, Enertech, numerous Chinese models, and even now the Xeris 10. And I wanted to explain on that. The Bergey 15 is a stall regulated turbine, and we have, through testing, determined that we can reduce the peak thrust loads by reducing the peak operating speeds, and our power electronics allows us to do that. So even though the towers for the Xeris 10 and foundations would not hold a full output 15 kW, by dialing back the performance, and actually it's a very small reduction in energy, we can go on what would normally be weaker towers. And so we have projects of that nature underway. I don't want to imply that Bergey Wind Power is the only company in the world that is doing repowers with new turbines. I'm sure there's more than this list, but the ones I'm familiar with are Rise Energy in the UK, which purchased the Gaia line of turbines and has also Energia out of Spain, and they're active in the retrofit market. I know that Britwind is doing that. I don't know if they're doing it other than with their own turbines. but it's a very good company. And then in the US, All Energy Management has a thriving business replacing and rebuilding endurance 60 kWs in the US and the UK particularly. So that's the story on repowering. It's not just for big wind, it's for small wind as well. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to present that today.
Thank you so much, Mike, and thank you for kind of broadening the perspective, because I think it is important to bear in mind that wind turbines, yes, it's nice, they're growing bigger, but that's not the only part of the story. There's also an important segment in the small scale area, and that is where also repowering, as you just explained so well, and I like those pictures that you can really gives us a better idea of what we're talking about. Do we have any questions or comments regarding Mike's and also, of course, Frits' presentations? We're almost on time, so it's also a good moment to kind of conclude the discussion that we had today. I believe we had really excellent presentations traveling around the world. Thank you so much to everyone for your excellent presentations, to the speakers, and also to the audience, also for the comments verbally, but also here in the chat. As you have already heard, this is just the start of the activities that we're planning to do. And there's been a concrete offer from IRENA to work with that. Jami, let me hand over, before we finally conclude, maybe a few final comments from your end before we then conclude the meeting.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen. And very decent participation in this webinar just goes to show that people are not only interested in more and more of wind energy, but also a lot in repowering as well. And we covered quite a wide spectrum, not only in terms of geographical areas, but also in terms of machine sizes, from very large turbines and to very small turbines. So I think there remains very good interest in this, and I look forward to having more similar interactions. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So we've got some, of course, food for thought. There are areas which are obviously very important, like which maybe deserve separate presentations and webinars, like the whole recycling area or land leasing fees. That is certainly another topic area. We have, of course, separate webinars on small wind as well. I would like to invite everyone, of course, who's not yet part of our network. We're very happy to have new members supporting us. And of course, there's also the opportunity of those of you who are working for companies becoming a sponsor of this webinar series, so that your company also has visibility amongst the audience, which is quite substantial. We had in total now around 100 registrations directly here, and then the live stream on Facebook later, the recording on YouTube also reaches many, many more. With this, thank you very much to everyone. I wish you a good day, a good evening, a good night. See you soon again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye.